All right, so I've kind of fallen into a bit of a rabbit hole, if you will. For a bit of context, I when I was growing up, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh. Like when I say I loved Yu-Gi-Oh, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh. Growing up, basically every Christmas I asked for something Yu-Gi-Oh related, whether it was t-shirts, an Exodia figurine, or the actual trading cards themselves. I loved Yu-Gi-Oh when I was growing up. I mean, shoot, even in kindergarten, when we were asked to make a poster board on all the things that we loved, I included a picture of the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. I think it was the Pyramid of Light poster. I included that on my poster. And on the day of that show and tell project, I wore what I could best describe as a Guy Fieri fire t-shirt, but it was Yu-Gi-Oh. Like it had Yugi's face on it. And for my sister's, I think it was her third birthday party, when we were at Chuck E. Cheese, I showed Chuck E. Cheese my Yu-Gi-Oh t-shirt. It was a picture of Yugi, Dark Magician, and Summon Skull. And that was it. And I don't think that love ever truly went away, but I definitely have not been actively playing the card game since probably Synchro Monsters. And I think the only real reason why I still even played during Synchro Monsters is because I thought that Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, the anime, was badass. Sure, I get it. The whole card games on motorcycles meme is hilarious. But 10-year-old, 11-year-old me thought that that was awesome. And funnily enough, that anime, that series of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds brought me a sense of comfort and home when I had first moved back to the United States. Like when I moved back home, or back here to the US in 5th grade, I had basically nobody, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime kind of provided me with that comfort of, although I didn't know these characters, it gave me a sense of familiarity. Because if my ramblings from just a couple minutes ago couldn't really tell you, I mean, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the original anime Yu-Gi-Oh! And that love has, for better or worse, for my financials, has reawoken. For the better part of like 2 months now, I've been investing a lot of time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And although I have only gotten to Platinum rank, I didn't really know when I was first getting into Master Duel that this would inspire me. Well, yeah, it would inspire me to spend a lot of money on the actual trading cards. I've gone as far as to retrieve some of my old trading cards from my grandma's house. And I'm sure, like some other people who still have their Yu-Gi-Oh cards from their childhood. Yeah, they were in a basement. Yes. They were stored in a shoebox in a dark, musky basement. But shout out to my grandma. Te quiero mucho, abuelita. She managed to find a way somehow to store them and preserve them. So now here I am as a 25-year-old adult, once again falling in love with something that I thought was lost to my childhood. Now, don't get me wrong, the modern game has a lot of issues, but at this point in my life, I don't think I really care. Like, I'm not playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Competitively, aside from Ranked and Master Duel, and I have absolutely no interest in some of the newer deck archetypes. Like, I don't even know how Snake Eyes operates. It just looks like a game of solitaire to me. Like, out of the new stuff, the only archetype that I've found myself really enjoying is the Vanquish Soul archetype, and that's because of the whole fighting game aspect to those cards. Point being, I wanted to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Today because it's a card game that I've always been passionate about. And for me to now have the opportunity to collect the cards at this day and age is something that I'm actually kind of thankful about, even if it does mean that I'm spending more money than I probably should. As an example, I've been buying a lot of the older and newer Dark Magician fusions. And so why specifically Dark Magician and not a Vanquish Soul deck? Well, again, because I like the older stuff more than I like the newer stuff. And the Dark Magician archetype, although it has an abundancy of cards, kind of sucks. And yes, I just contradicted myself. I know that I said I didn't care about competitive play, but it's not my fault. Like, if I were to ever play in a Dark Magician deck, I would never do it at a competitive level. It would only be at like a local. And again, that's also assuming that I would actually want to go play at a local, because some of the locals around here, I've heard unfortunate things happen at them. Again, it's just been really nice being able to collect the cards. And shoot, maybe I'll actually be able to convince some of my friends to pick it back up one day. Because that's another part of what helped me fall back in love with Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was a kid, was I had a group of friends that we would spend pretty much every Saturday, maybe Friday, playing. I had like a 6 samurai deck. My friends had just like zombie decks, Archfiend decks, just the lot, and it was always a fun time. One of my favorite memories of playing as a kid was I had a friend who, for the entire summer, he was trying to summon his Stardust Dragon Assault mode. And the one time that he finally got to summon it, I don't remember how, but I'm pretty sure I managed to destroy it with either a Mirror Force or a Trap Hole. I know that the effect of the card is like regular Stardust Dragon, where you can tribute it and cancel a spell, trap, or monster effect, but I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly, he was really mad at me because he still lost that duel. And more recently, like during Master Duel, I think the funniest thing I've seen happen so far is I watched someone basically burn themselves to death with their own sort of burn damage on the first turn. Like, they kept playing card effect after card effect of just pay X amount of life points, pay this for this activation, and in the end, I ended up winning first turn because they burned themselves alive, essentially. And stuff like that is enough for me to have fallen in love again with Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm really thankful that I have found myself loving Yu-Gi-Oh! Again. Once I'm done collecting all of these Dark Magician archetype cards, I think it's on to probably Galaxy Eyes stuff. I know that I had mentioned that I had only played up to Synchro Monsters, but I did watch a little bit of Zexal, and I can wholeheartedly admit that I loved Kite as a character, and I loved Galaxy Eyes as an archetype, which is again another reason as to why I will forever be doomed as a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh player, because that's another archetype where it's a lot of substance and not necessarily a lot of quality. Konami is trying, for sure, but Konami also sucks, so there's that. With that said, let me know. Did you guys play Yu-Gi-Oh growing up? And what are your current thoughts on the TCG in general? And better yet, let me know what your guys' favorite archetype is, if you have one. And if you don't have a favorite archetype, what's your favorite card? What's your favorite anime season? I would say that my favorite anime from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably 5Ds, and that's, again, for a lot of personal reasons. As for my favorite archetype, I would say it's Dark Magician, but if we're asking what my favorite card is, it's gonna be Kuribo. I love that little man. There's a reason that Kuribo was Yugi's duel master in that one filler arc series, and that's because he's the GOAT. The GOAT! Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe, or share it with your friends. Otherwise, this has been Sagi Taco, otherwise known as Tiago, signing off. Hasta luego.